guys, Anna here. Welcome back to Builds with Anna. So today we are in the world of Oasis Springs and we are building a spacious modern home. So this house is a 3x2, I want to say. Could be a 3x1, we'll see shortly. And the main focal point, the main concept of this home was these curved pieces. So that curved section is where the dining, the living, the main living areas of this house, and it's just got, wraparound tall windows, and I love this house. Spoiler alert, I absolutely adore this house. So this is one of the best, probably modern houses I've ever built, and I am so excited to share this with you today. And this is the main shape of the build. And as you can see, I am just working on these platform kind of focal pieces. Now, you guys would know I absolutely adore these kind of vertical paneled, wall decor pieces. And I love using them in intricate ways to kind of create pieces of art, I suppose, and focal points in builds. And we've done that here. So I actually am now going in with my smooth keeper fences, and I'm going to draw out garden beds, but I'm also, in this build particular, I'm actually marking out the driveway. So where I've just put this pavement, this cement pavement, that's actually where the driveway of this house is. And I'm just going around and putting some borders around all of that, the exterior, and then some platform trim. And the color scheme, it's kind of like black with that kind of burnt orange kind of beige. And it's so beautiful. So again, in some of my builds, I do these top sections that are just decorative. That is the same in this build. There is no upstairs. This is all one story. All right, a little bit more about the build as we watch it unfold. So as I said, the main concept was that using curved walls in a modern home. That was my concept. And I really did want to have this very open living space where it's quite interesting that when we'll go inside, you'll see this, how the open living area, that curved section, is so spacious. There's so much room. But then the actual bedrooms are all pretty much clustered together. So it's almost like the house is very much divided into thirds. And it's like, 2/3 of the home is very spacious, but then there's this 1/3 that seems pretty, clustered together, very close together and what have you. The outside of this home is absolutely phenomenal. Probably one of the prettiest, pools I've ever done, the entertainment area. So when I was building this home, or decorating this home, I should say, the Desert Luxe kit had just come out. And you'll see in a minute, I was able to create this really nice little patio area, this seating area. So again, the backyard is obviously sectioned. And yeah, so you'll see that in a minute. But getting back to the build, I really wanted to use a lot of textures. So we have the metal sheet roof, we have the stone, I think there's also some slate tiles, there's some wood tones. So there's quite a lot of textures that are going in. All right, so we are just working on the floor plan now. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to add some spandrels. I do this trick all the time. You draw the wall, you place in your columns on the, where you want the spandrels to go, and then you add your spandrels. I really like using the Seasons ones. I find that they have a nice texture and they look very contemporary. So, in modern homes, it's quite nice. You'll see in a minute when we go inside the effect that this has on this home. It is absolutely beautiful. I could stare at that opened area for hours. It is so pretty to me how it's just, there's so much light that just, oozes into that space. And it's all right. So we are working on the floor plan. So as you can see, this is kind of what I was referring to earlier, where it's there's so much space. And then on the other side of the build, it's so crammed together. So you've got a master bedroom and an ensuite, and then 2 kids' rooms and a bathroom. So just a small bathroom in this home. And that's pretty much the layout. That's pretty much what we've got here. So we just did the floor plan, and I do this. So I usually do the floor plan and the exterior, and then I move on to my landscaping, which we are very much doing here. So in this build, we use a lot of platforms, and I'm doing this nice little platform kind of focal piece by the pool. And in the end, this turns out so lovely. So I end up placing, a platform and a platform, and then creating this sunken area. I fence it off, and I just put some pebbles in there, and we put these kind of, I think they're from Spa Day, these like circular fountain pieces. You'll see in a minute. And it just looks so pretty. And we put some candles and lighting, and it's just such a kind of an elegant, opulent, like oasis kind of thing. Like this is just so beautiful. This really sold me this house. This is probably my favorite part of the build, is this pool. These little candles from Dine Out are so pretty. I've not seen these before. Dine Out is a relatively new pack to me. So I love exploring, my build and buy catalog and seeing what there is. I should definitely do a build where it's like using objects I've not used before. I think that might be an interesting build idea. Might have to see how I can squeeze that in. Alrighty, so we are just lining the pool with some darker flooring, and I've just put this at this is at the morning, but it's a little bit, the lighting's a little bit more moody, and that pool at night is beautiful. Alrighty, so this, where we are putting these windows now, that's that entertainment area. So when we get into decorating, you'll see how we utilize the new kit and those options there. So landscaping for this house, I was nervous. I was nervous because once I did that exterior, I fell in love with this home, and I really didn't want to ruin it. I was really nervous about how can I landscape this, because Oasis Springs is, I find it such a tricky world to build in, because it's not like, it's the desert. So like landscaping is not going to be like you would in Willow Creek, where it's like more of a suburb, and it's harder to landscape for me. So what I did is I went back to my comfort zone, and I really just picked a few things in debug, and I just started to alt place. I loved these square paving debug squares that we found. And I end up creating the most beautiful path. Normally I'd use terrain paint or like normal tile, but I did cut a lot of this out because you can see that it's a very tedious thing to do. But in the end, it's so pretty. So this is how we connect the front to the back, because as you guys know, I always do this in all my builds. I feel that it really works with the cohesiveness of a build to be able to connect that front to the back. And as you can see here, it's a little bit tedious, but I wanted to keep it in there for you so that you could see. So essentially it's just I'm sizing it up and then alt placing. And yeah, I had to move it, adjust it, move it, adjust it, move it, adjust it so it lined up well. But in the end, this is what we were, this was the final outcome of that pathing, and I think it turned out really nice. And then I saw these like large lavender bushes, and I was like, okay. Because the thing is with this curved section is that, if you were like looking at this house from a street view, you would want to be able to see that kind of architecture, those details. You would want to see that because that's very much a point of interest in the building. So I didn't want to put too much in front of it. So the plants and the flowers and what have you that I used, I wanted it to be minimal but effective. So I think the purple really works well, and we do use a lot of purple in our landscaping of this build. I think that it plays really well with the black, it plays really well with the beige, and I think that I also looked at in the surroundings of the area. So, and I did see some lavender, I did see obviously some aloe vera plants, I saw those, kind of desert-esque plants. And then I found these rocks, and these were a lifesaver to me because in the end, I end up deleting everything around these lavenders and just putting these bulky rocks. And I think this is just what fills that space. This is what this space needed. And I'm much happier now with it. I did battle with it for a while because I really wasn't sure. In the end, I decided to place some fencing, just mainly around the build. So in and around where the pool is, we do connect it to the back. I believe I do move the pathing so I can place it around. Yeah. And yeah, so I did this just to kind of fence off because there's a pool there, and in real life you would need a fence. But also it kind of, I don't know, houses that are fully fenced kind of to me look a little bit more expensive. I don't know, maybe that's me, maybe I'm crazy, but that's kind of my perception of it as well. And it is interesting to see how we all perceive things very differently, what we and how we translate that into our builds. All right, just going in with some terrain paint. And yeah, so that I believe is the landscaping for the build. It's not crazy, but as I said, I wanted it to be very intentional. Absolutely everything I placed for a reason. And I've said this previously in more modern builds that I do take that approach to landscaping when I do landscape modern builds. I just feel that it looks more neat. Yay, we're into the fun part. Okay, so we're playing around with a new kit, and we're very much working with the Desert Luxe kit, but also we do use some of the other new DLC that I have obtained. So a lot of backyard stuff. What do we think of this new kit? I love it. I love the tones and the textures that are in this kit. I think that them being, the more neutral color scheme is going to be more user friendly for a lot of people, and for anybody who maybe struggle with a bit of interior design or matching. This kit is so easy to navigate, and I really enjoy it. And yeah, these new lights are really nice, and I just think that this kit really pairs well with so many other kits I'm using. Well, packs, sorry. I'm using Get Together. I think I'm using a little bit of Eco Lifestyle. I'm pretty sure I'm using Dine Out. Backyard stuff, we're not surprised at this point. This flooring is one of my favorites. What I love about it the most is that it kind of looks a little bit dirty. It kind of looks a little bit stained, and it looks textured. It's not just a concrete flooring. Like it's interesting how it placed, because I feel like by the door it actually looks a little bit more kind of roughed up compared to out onto the path by the dining area. And that is realistic to me. It says that, people have walked on this paving. So I really love that element. Okay, so we are quickly jumping into the kitchen. Now, this space was very, as you can see, when you've got the curved walls, I was not about to do a kitchen on a curved wall. I don't have that level of patience, I can assure you. So I was trying to find a way to kind of fit in a kitchen, because there really wasn't much space. I had a tiny section of wall that was straight. So what I did is I created a kitchen with a half wall. Now, I have done this recently in one of my other modern builds, and I really enjoyed how it turned out. Like visually, I think that it's a great use of the space while still being like appealing. So the kitchen in this build, I would say, is actually probably, it's very minimal. It's not that fancy, actually. Normally I do a really good kitchen and kind of a subpar everywhere else, but this time the living room and the dining room are what is like the granddaddy of the home. It is like, this is the focal point. And I had so many issues with placing furniture in these curved rooms. That sofa took me so long, when I tell you, because I had to angle the screen just so I was out of the room but in the room, if that makes sense, because I couldn't place furniture, I couldn't move it. It was a nightmare. In the end, we got there in the end, and I believe that it looks beautiful. And it was kind of one of those things where I decided that because it was so tedious, that this was going to have a minimal kind of a minimal approach to decorating. So this home is not overly cluttered, but it's mainly because those curved rooms were impossible to decorate. So I really didn't want to, spend a whole heap of time trying to overly clutter those spaces. I really love this little outdoor nook that I was able to create. I love these immaculate shelves. I use them in the entertainment area. I use them in the kitchen. And yeah, we do just put one of these high school years ottomans and I believe, yep, a candle. And I think that might be it for the living room. And I stumbled across this wall decor piece from Eco Lifestyle, and it had some purple in it. And I went with the purple swatch to tie in to those lavenders. And yeah, so that's kind of what was happening there. I really am now at the stage where I'm kind of going through the wall decor, the clutter piece section, and what can I add? What can I add? I thought this island living plant inside of the vase looked really nice. I know the green is a bit off, but I just thought it was appealing. Yep, can't have a contemporary build without that object. We are not surprised. And then, I've got children in this build, so I thought a school bag wouldn't be out of place, a gaming unit. And yeah, so that was the main house. We are now into the bedroom. So this is the master bedroom and it's very simple. I very much use those dark, kind of that, I'd say mid-tone, wood tone and with the dark color scheme. I really liked that. I'm trying to think where it's from. From Industrial Loft Kit, that pompous flower. I actually really like that. I've not really used it a lot, but it worked in this build. Okay. So yes, just to remember. So that ensuite is just a toilet and a sink. It's not actually got a shower in it, but but that's okay. We do put a bathtub and a shower into the main bathroom. So that was good that I was able to include that because sometimes it's nice to have a combination of a bath and a shower. It can be a little bit more realistic that way. Now, as you can imagine, we have used those Desert Luxe kit curtains all around the house. I just love them. I love the texture. I really couldn't get those the curtain rod pieces to work. I did jump over onto Twitter and ask for some help. So maybe in some recent builds, I will try to put those tips into action. We did, just miss over the whole of the girls' room. We are now into the teen son's room. So her room is just blues and yellows and it's just very cluttered. And that's what I do. Like when I have a minimalistic home, I like to make the children's bedrooms just cluttered just because it just fits. I wasn't a neat freak, but I definitely did have some. I'm one of those people that it's organized chaos. Even my desk, you should see it. It's organized chaos. And I feel like kids are a little bit the same. Their bedrooms are their little sanctuaries and, they like to keep it how they like to keep it. And yeah, so I believe we are into the tour. So I really love this build and I really hope you enjoyed today's build. I think this is probably hands down one of the best modern homes I've ever built, and I'm not even exaggerating that. I really do. I think that it's cohesive. I really like. I think it's spaced really well. The floor plan on this one's great. That outdoor section is phenomenal. We've got the dining, that little seating area that we were created with the new kit. I've really cluttered up those shelving units. That pool, as I said, my favorite part of the build. And I've just put the build at night and you can see that kind of the lighting. It just changes the build again at night or kind of like a late afternoon. And yeah, I could just stare at this forever. It's such a beautiful build and I thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure to share this with you and I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.